Hour number two of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We go out to the guest line right now, welcoming someone, man, I loved watching him play when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Denver Broncos. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is Weapon X, Brian Dawkins, here with us today on behalf of Beringer and also Lily It Takes Two Health Initiative. B-Doc, appreciate the time as always. How you been?
Oh, absolutely blessed. Appreciate you having me too, man.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. I got to start you off with your Eagles because, man, the young fellas in the secondary are really producing, and Cooper DeJean and also Quinyon Mitchell. Just what have been your impressions so far in those two youngsters?
Love it. Love it. For me, and I'm kind of strange this way. One of the things that I always look for when it comes to guys who are stepping into the league or teams or whatever the case may be is how do they respond from a down setting? Like when you fail, how do you respond? And so I know that's quirky. I know that's not what people want to hear, but that's what I look for. I love success, don't get me wrong, I do. But it's how you respond to a failure, how you respond to being potentially embarrassed is what I'm looking for these young guys. Until then, let them continue to ball, but I can't when they do struggle, I want to see how they bounce back. Can they bounce back? And do they bounce back with a stronger fire and desire to continue to improve?
And something that's encouraging, this defense last year was not at the Eagles standard. And you bring in Vic Fangio, got off to a little bit of a slow start, but recently this defense has been really dangerous and really damn good. Just what have your impressions been from afar this year on the entirety of this defense when we get outside of just the secondary?
Yeah, well, in the beginning, as you talked to me in the beginning, I would have told you and I had said that there will be growing pains. You're going to have growing pains when you have a new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator stepping in. They have to learn the personnel that they have, and you learn who you truly have on game day. Don't get me wrong, you can learn some of it in practice, but you truly learn who you have and what you can do on game day. And so to me, they went obviously 2-2. They struggled in some ends, and he wasn't quite as aggressive as far as calling blitzing and all of those things as people begin to panic a little bit. No, again, I believe that he was able to then go into the bye week. You watch film, you're being honest. Accountability is real huge in rooms that have success. So then you look at the tape, you look at what you have, and can I be aggressive? And then Cooper DeJean was added into the equation that during that same period of time, very versatile, being able to do a lot of different things. And now all of a sudden, a whole lot more pressure is being added to the package. And now once you have that pressure, what it does is when you have the opportunity for a defense, and this is what I remember from Jim Johnson's defense, like everybody has a chance to potentially blitz. Everybody. And so now when your numbers, you can't wait, you're excited because your number could be called at any time, right? And so now everybody's into it. And so I believe once again, Vic felt more comfortable, feels more comfortable and know he knows who he has on defense. And the young guys and the veterans are performing at a high level. And once again, I believe that there's accountability in the building on defense. Starts with Vic. I believe that he's saying some things that needs to be said, but that filters down to the leaders as well.
Weapon X, the Pro Football Hall of Famer, Brian Dawkins is my guest. It was an interesting past week for the Eagles. I know it ended in a good way with a win. You had Brandon Graham on WIP talking about the relationship between A.J. Brown and also Jalen Hurts, and they've had to respond. They made a big statement on Sunday with the way that they played and won that game up against the Steelers. But what was your reaction and kind of impressions of everything that just happened this past week in Philly?
Well, if this past weekend is any indication of things to come, I love it. Again, I just told you what one of my criterion of watching these young guys. I want to see how they go through and grow through struggles. I want to see if they have the capacity, the ability to then still have the same fight, grit, desire, determination, and be held accountable and then grow, right? Same thing in this situation. You get behind closed doors, you have tough conversations, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. Iron sharpens iron. That means friction has to happen sometimes, right? And then you come out of the room, you're stronger together, you're closer together, and you go out and you're like a sharper sword. You go out and cut people up. And okay, my bad, I went too hard on that one. But you go out and you do some do some damage during the week, and they did that this past weekend. So again, if this past weekend is any indication of them getting on the same page and hashing some things out, they're going down the right path.
You're one of the greatest leaders that the game has ever seen. Brandon Graham is also a really good leader. You talk about accountability and calling people out. A lot of people last week was like, I don't know if BG should have done that publicly. I thought that was a good sign of leadership actually from Brandon Graham because I would imagine, felt like it was necessary because they know, right? They were 10-1 last year. They had problems in that locker room. It didn't go their way. I thought that was BG just saying, hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, even if it's unconventional, to prevent what happened last year to repeat itself this year. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and if that was his way of doing it, that's the way he did it. I wouldn't have done it that way. I'm someone that would never do something in public like y'all hopefully won't hear nothing in any of the conversations that I've had with my teammates. Why? Because I respect the locker room too much for that, right? So it's just nothing's going to come out of my mouth about the locker room, right? It may come back from somebody else about what was happening, what was going on, but not through me. I always pull guys to the side. We have tough conversations, whatever the case may be. And then again, we come out of that room together so we can move forward together with one another in mind. And so again, there's different ways of doing things. And again, if he decided that was the way he wanted to go about doing it, go ahead. Again, that's not how I would have done it. Again, I would have called, I would have asked all three of us to see if we can have a tough conversation together.
Brian Dawkins here on behalf of Beringer and also Leah Takes Two Health Initiative. We'll talk about that in just a second. Let me flip it to the Broncos. Really strong start so far with what we're seeing. It looks like they're a playoff team. Big game coming up Thursday against the Chargers. You got Sean Payton and Bo Nix, but man, you probably have to love what you've seen so far in the first few seasons from Pat Surtain. He's unbelievable as a secondary player.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like if there's someone that in the league that could remind you of their future, I mean they're just recent Hall of Famer, Champ Bailey, it's that cat there, man. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like he's a phenomenal talent. Long, right? Lanky can run. There's no he doesn't have like I can't think of a weak area in his game to be honest with you, right? So he's that type of a cornerback. And they have that on defense. And the defense as a whole are playing aggressive. They're doing a great job on defense in Denver for the most part. You know, the thing that will potentially halt their run, and I know they're going to hate to hear this, is just having a young quarterback. It's
Yeah.
not that he's not talented. It's not that he can't move the ball and create on the run. It's not any of those things. It's that he's a young quarterback. And then when you step into the playoffs in a young quarterback in those different atmospheres, because the Broncos will more than likely have to go on the road every time in the playoffs, right? All the way up into the Super Bowl, more than likely, right? And that's tough for any quarterback to do, let alone a rookie. So that will be the only thing that I would say. Other than that, I believe that they're moving in the right direction as far as what they do on offense as well. Sean is doing a great job with that on that side of football and on the defensive side of the ball. Like they're absolutely balling out.
It's funny you bring up Champ Bailey. It's an obvious comparison, but I had a conversation with Champ before the season started, and he said, hey, this dude should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should have more Pro Bowls than me. And to hear that praise from Champ Bailey, and then also your words as well, it really speaks to what your guys' expectations are for even the next step that a Pat Surtain could take.
Absolutely. And again, for me, this is year what for him? What, three, four? Even at year one into year two, there was a calm demeanor about him on that island out there because that's the island. Everybody I know it was Revis Island, but on that I call it the express. You can call it the expressway too. So out there on that expressway, like that's a different level of athleticism and confidence you have to have in your ability to do some of the things that he does. And he does them technique sound, speed turns, and all of those things. And he stays sticky in coverage and he can find the football. Like so he has everything early on in tough environments, tough places, and he was still performing at a high level even in his first year into his second year. Now in his year three, you can tell the comfortability that he has in any and all circumstances situation. You can put him outside, you can put him in a slot, wherever you want to put him at. He has the ability to excel from a physical standpoint, but also a mental standpoint in making adjustments.
You got to be excited, by the way, for Clemson this upcoming weekend with their first round playoff game up against Texas. A lot of people didn't expect Clemson to be here, but they found a way to win the ACC, and that should be a good one coming up on Saturday.
And I'm not going to lie, I did not expect him to be here either. some of the games that they lost and how they lost some games. And for me, it's just when they face kind of top tier talented teams, the score was not to a great degree in some of those cases. And so it surprised the heck out of me that they're where they are. But hey, they're here, they're in the playoffs. It's not how you get your foot in the door, it's what you do with that doggone opportunity.
One more question for the Pro Football Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins before we talk about what he's doing with Beringer and also Lily's It Takes Two Health Initiative. What you make of Belichick? He's going to return. Now he's going to be the coach at UNC. I thought he would have been back in the NFL, but Bill's going back to school, B-Doc.
Well, I guess Bill was like, I'm tired of talking to them older cats. Like, let me get back to the roots and start talking to some of these young cats. See if we can get some of these young cats ready for the National Football League. And I would tell you, if when you think about the potential of a guy coming into the National Football League, one of like when you used to go through Alabama, right, and you get players from Alabama, they were taught things that will prepare them right away for the National Football League. I'm not saying some other teams don't do some of it, but for the most part, when you get a cat from Alabama, he's going to be taught up in a whole lot of things that's going to allow you to plug and play these guys. It can be a similar situation if guys are willing to come to North Carolina. Now, the only caveat is like Bill is not necessarily he doesn't do the what do you call it, the positive reinforcement type of
Yes.
coaching.
He's not a warm individual.
He's not a warm. I'm trying to find the right word for it. He doesn't go about it that way. So you have to have the type of tough skin to be able to withstand some of how he does things and work in a way that he feels that you need to be working. So you have to have that mentality to be able to do that. So if you have that mentality and you want to be ready for the pros, like it can really, and I think I heard somebody say it like that, like it could literally be a factory to the pros, man. Like seriously.
Yeah, all righty. Before we let you run, B-Doc, tell me what you're doing today with Beringer and Lily's It Takes Two Health Initiative.
Yeah. So first of all, it's a blessing to be a part of this. It really is. And one of the things that I've had to do as a professional football player, and I understand the significance of it, is being someone that's proactive, not always reactive to things. So and that becomes to stuff on the field, absolutely, but also in my health, right? So to this day, I still work out, I still lift, and I do those things for specific reasons. I want to be proactive with my health. And so when I caught wind of these two parameters that could potentially have you going down the path of having kidney disease, and my parents aligned with them, and that's high blood pressure, and the other one is type 2 diabetes. Right. So both of my parents have battled with that from time to time, and they'll still be battling through this going forward as they continue to live. And so once I caught wind to this, that it takes two, it takes you and your doctor, and it takes two blood tests, a urine test and a blood test, to see if you are in the stats. Or there's 35 million adults that are living with kidney disease, and only 90% know they have it. Right. So now my parents and their caregivers know that this is the test that needs to be done. They've done it, right? And so now if I can use my platform to be able to scream, right? To shout, to scream it to everybody who knows somebody, it maybe in your house, maybe you or somebody in your house, your parents, or those who are more seasoned in their life. We don't get old, we just get more seasoned. Those who are more seasoned in life, to help them stay healthy longer, right? That's what this is about for me. So again, you can go to testyourkidneys.com for more information. And again, it's an absolute blessing for me to be a part of it. And to know that I'll be a part of the Rose Day Parade, right? To be on the float, something that I watched throughout my college days, excuse me, out of my life as watching the game of football in college. And to be a part of it with Rob Bass and having him redo his song "It Takes Two" from back in the day to fit this campaign.
Well, it's a great message. Always appreciate you jumping on board with us. He's one of, the best leaders in the history of the NFL, and that is the great Brian Dawkins. B-Doc, appreciate it. Thank you.
God bless you, brother. Appreciate you, man.